Excellencies, ambassadors, and high commissioners, representatives of the international organizations, members of the Consular Corps, senior government officials, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're having a good evening. It is, as always, a pleasure to have you here. What we have built together over many years and across different sectors with the country partners you represent and the different organizations is remarkable. Our collaboration and friendship have been vital to Rwanda's revival and development. We do not take this lightly, and I thank you for it. Nowadays, none of us can afford to be indifferent to geopolitical trends. Whether or not you believe that there was a rules-based international order, it is clear that changes are underway which will affect all of us. It is predictable that Rwanda, even as a small country, is caught up in the middle in its own way. One thing that has not changed, however, is that right and duty of every nation to ensure the safety of its borders and people. It is that duty that never changes. Rwanda is no exception. And yet, for reasons that continue to elude us, Rwanda is consistently asked to ignore threats to its security and compromise its national defense. The conflict in eastern DRC is not new. It's neither new nor is it too difficult to understand. It has been prolonged for decades due to neglect and complacency, notably by those with the power to make the biggest difference in resolving it. Rwanda's security concerns stem from the continued presence of the FDLR and its violent extremist ideology, which is the ideology of genocide. Unfortunately, that seems to have some backers in the region and beyond, under all kinds of guises. In the late 1990s, cross-border attacks by this militia from the territory of DRC claimed thousands of lives inside Rwanda. The Congolese government has provided political cover and financial support to FDLR and integrated this group into its military structures, from where it now operates with total impunity. They attacked Rwanda on multiple occasions. Some countries issued travel advisories as a result. And lately, the son of the former leader of Rwanda, who led this country into genocide, and other close collaborators of his, have been visiting Kinshasa in order to deepen the alliance with FDLR, and they have more or less openly been welcomed there. We have consistently raised these issues in every relevant forum and directly to many of you here. But each time, the root causes and structural drivers of this conflict are dismissed in favor of short-term measures and interests. Rwanda, because of its history and its geography, requires defensive borders. Our defensive measures are aimed at this objective and nothing else. FDLR is far from being a spent force, as I have mentioned earlier. In fact, its genocide ideology has been spread to other armed groups, which also target Congolese Tutsi and other communities. By definition, a signed peace agreement should bind all parties equally, and implementation should follow the text. However, this has not been our experience. It's not the case. What we see instead is that one party is expected to carry almost the whole burden. For instance, the Washington Accords clearly set a ceasefire, acknowledged each party's security concerns, and laid out a roadmap for action. Yet, even as the discussions progressed, there was a visible and sustainable military buildup, followed by action in eastern DRC. Thousands of Burundian troops and government-affiliated militias consolidated offensive positions, imposed a blockade on civilian communities, and launched relentless ground and aerial strikes in South Kivu. The Congolese government's intent was to shift the balance through force outside the parameters of the ongoing peace negotiations. That is how the events in Uvira came to unfold. Rwanda has and had raised the alarm for months. Yet, the aftermath was presented as a single-point narrative detached from the reality on the ground. The blame was, as we have come to expect, blamed and placed exclusively on Rwanda. This selective pressure has only emboldened the Congolese government and all its affiliated genocidal elements to resume military action. I'm not asking you to agree with every decision that Rwanda has made, but we do ask that you hold all parties to the same standard. As things stand, Rwanda faces an impossible choice to either tolerate the continued presence of the FDLR and its growing network of militias and allow them to grow closer to our border, or to defend ourselves and be condemned for it. The choice is therefore very clear. In our position, would any other country make a different choice? And any condemnation that comes, by the way, is a badge of honor for our security forces. That honor is not something that can easily be washed away by rain or shine or whatever. It is part of us. It will remain so in good and bad times. But make no mistake, Rwanda wants peace. But we want a genuine and lasting peace on which we can build our future prosperity. We want to leave the bad politics of the past behind us forever. Rwanda is ready to lift its defensive measures in tandem with the DRC fulfilling its obligations under the Washington Accords. By the way, these accords I'm talking about, the Washington Accords, there are actually 3 parties concerned. The 2 are, 1, Rwanda, and DRC, of course. But the 3rd is United States, the country that hosted us, that brokered this process. They are part of it. So to have 3 parties to this process, and you expect only one to fulfill its side of obligations, I'm not sure what we should expect from that. And so that's where we are, in a sense, caught up in that. If fully implemented, this agreement will provide all parties the security that they need and they deserve, and lay the groundwork for mutually beneficial economic cooperation. Many of you here have worked with us for a very long time, and you know that you can trust us. We are reliable. We say what we do, and we do what we say. Our partnerships have borne fruit precisely because we have had an effective security policy in place continuously for the past 3 decades. Rwanda is strong and strong enough in our own circumstances. And precisely because we consider ourselves vulnerable to ideologies of violence, of violent ethnic extremism, particularly when they benefit from direct or indirect state support. We have made a promise to ourselves to never go back to the dark days, that darkness. We can't go back. And that is not something we will waver from. Before I propose a toast, I had a few things in addition to this, that I wanted to share with you. Contextualizing further the sort of complication and dilemma we face in all this. And we also understand it in a much wider context of the world we live in. There is the world of the past, and kept changing over time, and the world keeps changing. And in many instances, unpredictably. But people have to stay the course for what they want to mean and do for themselves. And that's where Rwanda is. A couple of things. Do you know those moments when you had to rest of your sleep? That moment in between when you are still awake and when the sleep is coming in, caught up in the middle. That space, some of us encounter people in our thoughts, and we have conversations. It's not dreaming, it's not in between. Some of those moments, I met some people, and they brought up this subject. It was like Paul. You are not Christian enough. Why? And that is supposed to, if I was Christian enough, it is supposed to solve my problems, because I'm not Christian enough in this person's mind, it is supposed to create problems for me. But I asked this person, I said, what is enough? How enough do you want me to be Christian? First, I'm called Paul. I think by that name, am I not Christian? Second, I told the person a bit of my story and history. That my parents were very good Christians. In fact, they used to share part of their limited wealth with the church. I'm supposed to be Catholic, side of Christianity. They gave a lot of their resources to the church. So I said, I'm called Paul. My parents were very close to the church, so I'm supposed to be Christian enough. And the person was not convinced. And I said, I'm also, much as I'm a Christian and you think it's not enough, I can't claim to be a preacher. You don't hold Bibles and move around teaching people, because that's God didn't assigned me a responsibility that is different from that. So, not being Christian enough has also caused me problems. But I said, I have seen people who, I was telling that person, who claim to be that level of Christian that I am not. In the morning, they're out there shouting and yelling and doing things. In the evening, they go visiting witch doctors. I said, how do the two go together? So in other words, I was telling this person that actually some of them also tell lies under the cover of what they claim to be. And they end up not being Christian enough as they thought I was, meaning not Christian enough. So that is something they needed to think about. No pretense, no, and everyone should be what they want to be. And there are other measures you can use to test the value of people. Then, in another conversation, it was, okay, put aside the Christian part. Your country, Rwanda, is not wealthy enough. You don't have to don't have enough of the resources that the world needs, whether they are minerals or forests or all kinds of things. So then I said, okay, but do I also have to face penalties for not being wealthy enough? I said, what do people do to become wealthy that I didn't do, that constitute an offense? First, I was told I was not Christian enough. Second, I'm being told I'm not wealthy enough, meaning my country. So which means the combination of two should cause some of us problems. Should cause me as a person or Rwanda as a country problems in other people's judgment. But since when did these become criteria for people being right or wrong? Or to the point that you deserve no attention from anybody. In fact, I wish I didn't get attention from such a people. That's so good. It means you do your business, I do my business. And I don't need that kind of attention. Nobody needs it. The kind of attention that reminds you that you're not this enough, you're not that enough. But that means you're paying attention to me. Maybe the less attention you pay, the better for me and maybe for you, because why should you waste your time thinking about me? Right. As I continued, one evening I was bored and consulted some of these agents of AI, the artificial intelligence, put in some thoughts and questions, and I won't tell you what I was asking. I'll tell you the answer. Given what I was asking, and the answer came out as, let me read it for you. In the jungle, a lion king coveted a plush deer, grazing unaware. The deer, blinded by sweet grass, didn't see the jaws closing in. Meanwhile, a wise old tortoise stood tall, accused of eating the king's crops. Crops the king knew were devoured by his own pride. The deer fell to the king's greed. The tortoise shoulders burdened, faced the hungry shadows dignified. The jungle whispered. One met the king's desire, the other his blame. That's where we are, but we will have our shoulders burdened and remain dignified. Thank you.